What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about this Detroit Lions defense and their performance against the Jacksonville Jaguars and the adjustments that seemingly were made. Let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome in, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we are diving into this defense by the Detroit Lions and the adjustments that Matt Patricia and Corey Undlin made. I don't have a Corey Undlin picture, but I would be holding one if I did. So imagine Corey Undlin picture right here. Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, I wrote new look defense. It's not completely new look defense, but I thought it sounded cool, so I wrote it. But let's talk about this Detroit Lions defense, okay? And the adjustments and indifference that we saw on week 6 against the Jaguars led us to having a lot more success on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I know what people are thinking, okay? They're thinking, oh, well, the Jaguars are just awful, so this isn't impressive. I've seen people say it all over social media. This doesn't mean anything. The defense is still hot trash. You know, this is the Jaguars. They weren't going to score anyways. But people don't realize that this offense wasn't hot trash, okay? It wasn't a terrible offense for the Jaguars. Now, as a team, they're not a very good team. Their defense isn't very good. But their offense, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's great, but it's not bad. It's above average. They're above average passing team. And the running back was averaging 4.6 yards per carry. An undrafted running back who has the most yards per scrimmage in NFL history through five games coming into this game. Okay, that doesn't seem too trash to me, but somehow the Lions defense went out in this game and played arguably the best defensive performance that they've ever played under head coach Matt Patricia in his 3 years in Detroit. Now, I'm going to put it at second. Unless I'm forgetting another game, I'm going to put it at second for now. First is still the Patriots game. That was awesome. When we held the Patriots to 10 points and we scored 26, and that was his first year, that was his first win as a Lions head coach, that was a heck of a performance by our defense. But once again here against Jacksonville, and I think there's some other arguable ones, like the Rams. We played the Rams on their Super Bowl year. We did pretty well. We didn't win that game, but we did pretty well for the most part defensively. The Chiefs last year was solid. But this game against the Jaguars, again, not the best offense, but a solid one. The Lions somehow out of nowhere, and I think a lot of it has to do with the circumstances, because coming into this game, we were thinking, at least I was thinking, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about our defense in this one. We have the worst rush defense in the league. We're giving up 170 yards per game. I'm not making that number up. 170 yards per game, and we're going against a guy like James Robinson, who's averaging over 4.5 yards per carry. That concerned me. And their passing offense wasn't bad. They had some good weapons, and the Lions come in with some injuries. I'm thinking, okay, this concerns me a little bit. I don't think the Lions defense will be completely awful, and I think they could be okay against the Jaguars, but I didn't think they'd be this good. Now, yes, they gave up 16. I predicted them to give up 21. Look, the 16 points, 6 of those really came when the game was over. They were like garbage stats. But, I mean, through midway through 3 quarters, you give up 3 points. They scored at the end of the third. But that was pretty much it for their offense. I mean, it was pretty much shut down. We had a 4-and-out coming out of the half, and we threw a pick, and they just stand tall, 4-and-out, get off the field. 4 plays, you can't even get 10 yards. This defense, I was like, dude, who are we? Is this the Lions defense for real? Is this Matt Patricia's defense? But it seemed like from the get-go there was something different. And I think the best way to describe that is aggression. This defense was aggressive to come out. And it wasn't just the defense, it was the whole team. We talked about it yesterday, the offense, the special teams, Stafford. But the defense had some kind of aggressiveness coming out of the gate. And we started on defense first, and you could just see it from the first snap, that there was something different about this team going into this game. Now, I look at Matt Patricia and what he's done with the Detroit Lions over his years, and I look at Matt Patricia as a strategist, a guy that comes into every game with a different game plan, a guy that comes in and says, okay, this is what I see with this team, this is how we can beat them. In every game, they're going to give you different looks, they're going to show different things. But this one just seems something even different than that. Like, every game he does something different. We've seen it already this year. Against the Bears, he blitzes 30% of the time. We're thinking, wow, he's blitzing again. As an average, we were blitzing 14.9% of the time. So you can see that maybe we didn't blitz so much since that game. And again, Matt Patricia, depending on the opponents he's going against, will change what he wants to do. How much zone he's going to play, how many times he's going to blitz, how many times he's going to play man, what kind of coverages he's going to play in the back end, who's going to be on the field, your personnel packages change. And you're just seeing tons of different looks. Like every week, it's like, okay, I have no idea what we're going to get from Patricia here. But every game he comes in with a different game plan. But during this week, actually maybe a little bit ago, last week, Matt Patricia brought up the fact that defensively, they were potentially looking into taking things out, maybe doing a little bit less to do more. In other words, do a little bit less, make it a little bit less complicated so that they can play faster. Now, today's presser, we heard Matt Patricia say that defensively, they didn't really take anything out schematically. It was more that they took things out when it came to personnel packages, subs, things like that, kind of just a responsibility. He said as many bricks as we can take off to let them play faster, we wanted to. And he's like, we've had to do this before. Look at the first 4 games, one went well, what didn't go well. And this is where Matt Patricia deserves a lot of credit. Now, there's a reason that he's gotten a lot of heat over his time in Detroit, because one of the biggest problems and one of the problems that things that people hate the most is when, as a head coach, like I've said, he's changed things before, but it hasn't been super dramatic to the point where you look at it and you can really make a noticeable difference unless you really dive into the film, where people don't like it if something doesn't work and you come out and it looks like you're doing the same thing. That people don't like that, and I get it. It's kind of hard to watch. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But this time, everybody around the NFL world is giving Matt Patricia and Corey Undlin A's for this game, because they had a different mindset heading into this game, and it was to be more aggressive. And I think there's reasons for that. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the Lions' actual blitz percentage in this game because I haven't got the film yet. The film hasn't came out for this game, so I can't go back and watch it, which is sad. I went back and watched the regular game, but I can't watch the film. Like, I can watch the normal game from the regular, thing that we get to see, but I don't get to watch the film back yet. But when that comes out, we'll dive more into the game, and obviously we're going to dive into the Falcons. So I'm kind of waiting for that. So I don't have that actual number yet, but I do know this. We blitzed more than 14.9% of the time in this game. This could be the most we blitzed in a game. Could be second to the Bears game, but it's up there. I mean, we blitzed a lot in this game. My main points of this video, okay, the main points and the reasons that I think this defense had a lot more success is because the aggressiveness against the run, the willingness that Matt Patricia and Corey Undlin showed to want to go out there and stop the run. Realizing that is a problem, that you can't give up 170 yards rushing per game, that if we can't stop the rush, we're never going to have an opportunity to get to the quarterback. And he talked about it during the press conference after the game, saying that, yes, they go hand in hand together, that you have to be able to stop the run. If we can't do that, then we're not going to have success defensively, and that's been every single week up to this point. That's been the story of our defense pretty much every single week, except for maybe a little bit in that Cardinals game, and that's why we were pretty successful defensively. So the willingness by the Lions to bring pressure to stop the run, to get a whole bunch of different looks, and to play what I saw, John Pennicini a lot. Pennicini, Shelton, getting those big guys on the field at the same time, which I loved, putting Trey Flowers on the outside. That willingness to go and make sure they found a way to stop the run early, set up the Detroit Lions, again, another ability to get to the quarterback. And some of these pressures didn't come from blitzing. I know the blitz percentage is going to be high, but a lot of the blitzes, honestly, were to stop the run, like Matt Patricia said. These aren't my words, these are his. But not only that, we were able to get pressure as well with even less sometimes because, one, he's thinking about it. The Lions did a great job with stunts and things like that. But if you look, even on the first drive alone, the first drive, we get him in a 3rd and long. Julian Okwara's on the field. We got Julian Okwara, we have Reggie Ragland, and Trey Flowers as 3 of our 4 rushers that we bring. That's a rushing unit right there. And those guys, Julian Okwara, who wanted to get more involved, he's crazy fast. And when he stunts inside, he was quick. Again, I can't show you the film yet because I don't have it, but I did go back and watch it and I saw that. I mean, you put the emphasis to stop the run, and then it allows you to get those speed guys out there and get those guys more involved. I mean, Julian Okwara is not an all-down player. He's not, and not at least not yet. And the reason he's not is because he's not that good against the run. He doesn't set the edge well. That was one of his biggest struggles coming out of college. He is a athletic speedster that can get to the quarterback. And when you get him in a 3rd and long, that's when he comes onto the field. He's like that, specialty pass rusher that everybody wanted this offseason. Now, can we bring in that pass rusher for 3rd downs? That's who Julian is supposed to be. But we can't do that if we can't get them in 3rd and passing downs, where it's like, okay, I know that it's not 3rd and 2 and that they may not just run to his side. It could be a pass. So when you get him out there, those passing downs, all you got you got all these speed guys out there getting the quarterback. So the willingness to me to show that aggressive mindset to say, we are going to take away the run. And then once it worked and the players bought into it and they were playing hard and they were all just amped up, because I think what the Matt Patricia had them amped up is because he was like, look, I'm going to send you. You're going to go. You're going to blitz. You're going to blitz. You're going to blitz. And we're sending you guys early. Sometimes it was a pass and it was like, oh, Lions are blitzing the pass. But sometimes, like Matt Patricia said, it was meant for the run, but it would become a pass. But he's sending these guys, go get after him, go stop the run, go shut it down. Tracy Walker on the first 2 plays came in. Tracy Walker on the first 2 plays showed blitz to stop the run. And he did. He was right there to stop the run. The first play, got it from behind. And he's in there to stop the run. They're in there to shut that run down. And once it was shut down, we see those speedster guys comes in. We see the pass rush package. And we got to see it way more than we've got to see. And then all of a sudden, the D-line, they feed off that energy. Trey Flowers makes a Trey Flowers type of play. Romeo Okwara gets pressure in Minshew's face, and it forces him to throw a pass way too far. Those guys are good players. Everybody else is clicking when they shut down the run, when they're forced to pass, and there's no threat of the run on 3rd and long, right? And you're up by, double-digit scores, all of a sudden these guys are thinking, oh, yeah, this is our time right here. This is what we live for. They get up in that stance, and they're just gone. And that, to me, was the biggest difference, is the willingness and the effort they put towards shutting down the run, and it worked, and I hope we see that in upcoming weeks. Like I said, every game plan is going to be different with Matt Patricia, but that was awesome. I'm going to dive into a couple of numbers that we have been given on social media recently, okay, that people are seemingly talking about. First off, the zone. How much Matt Patricia and Corey Undlin, I should say, played zone defense in this game. All right, we know throughout the week, they work on a game plan, they come up with it, and Corey Undlin calls the plays on a Sunday, right? He's calling the shots. But how much the Lions played zone in this game was much more than any of our other game. However, I kind of am not super surprised. If you look at week 1, the Lions played zone about 18% of the time. Not much at all. I mean, you're playing over 80% of man, and people don't love that. But I think some of that has to do because, one, it's week 1. All right, you're coming into week 1. You got a lot of new players. You initially got Trufant. You know, he's new. You got Jeffrey Okudah. He was dealing with an injury, so he wasn't out there. Players are still trying to figure out what you want to do. Matt Patricia's coming out with his normal game plan. We're going to play a lot of man-to-man. And it worked. I mean, I can't fault him. He went against Trubisky. He blitzed him a lot. He played man-to-back end, and it worked. For 3 quarters, he gave up 6 points. So I can't say that his game plan didn't work against the Bears. That fourth quarter, it fell apart because of injuries. And I think the big problem in week 1 was that he couldn't necessarily go too much zone because I don't know if they had it all figured out. With the weird offseason, not many practices, I don't know if he had it all figured out with the subs that had to come in because you lost Trufant, you lost Coleman, and you didn't have Okudah all coming into that game. So you're throwing in these backups. You have McCray starting, you have Darryl Roberts in his first game, and it's like, oh snap, all of these guys that play. So they try to keep it pretty simple. We're going to play man, and in the fourth quarter, he blitzed 41% of the time. With these injuries, he's like, okay, let's just dial up the heat. About half the time they dropped back, he was bringing pressure. It didn't work. Unfortunately, the Lions lost that game. But since then, the Lions seemingly have played a little bit more zone every single week. And in the last couple of games, we've seen the zone percentages really take a big jump. In week 3, where the Lions got their first win, they played zone 44% of the time. That's almost half the time they were dropping in the zone defensively against Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. And against the Saints, week 4, 37% of the time we played zone. And like I said, this past week or yesterday, 60% of the time we were in zone. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason I think is maybe we have to keep an eye on his injuries. When we came into week 3, we knew there was no Desmond Trufant. Okay, so we knew we didn't have one of our top corners. So with more time to practice, Matt Patricia went out, played some more zone. All right, he was trying to help the back end a little bit, maybe by taking less one-on-one responsibilities against, DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald and Andy Isabella. He was trying to get them in more zone responsibilities. Then you come over to play the Saints. Trufant's healthy. You're playing the Saints who don't have the same great receiver core, and you drop them more and you play more man-to-man. Still some zone, you play more man-to-man. Every week it seems to be different. Like I said, that's what Patricia does. But then this week, we're coming in knowing there's no Coleman, there's no Trufant, there's no Michael Ford, and we're going to play a lot more zone. And we're apparently going to be more aggressive because we brought a lot more pressure. So I think there's reasons that we saw more zone. It wasn't just like, Corey Undlin's doing something now that he's never done before. For looking at this saying, okay, this needs to change. We need to do more of this because maybe he saw that, hey, zone's working. Let's do more of this. Let's do more of this. And it worked. And it worked really well for the Lions in this game. And like I said, it's not going to be the same every game. It's just not. That's not how Patricia does things. Every week it's going to look different defensively. And when you look at the other thing, which was getting pressure on the quarterback, again, I don't have the exact blitz percentage, but I know they did much more than 14.9% of the time, which was 29th in the league heading into the game. By the way, the Packers 28th. Patriots are blitzing about 19.4% of the time if you were interested. But coming into this game, aside from the Bears game, we haven't blitzed very much. And again, it's by opponent. Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, some of these guys he didn't want to blitz against because, they were good against the blitz. And it worked against Kyler Murray. He didn't blitz very much in that game, but it worked. It worked really well. However, against Rodgers, didn't work so well. And Breeze, it didn't work super well. But I don't know about the Breeze one. But I do know for one fact that we saw yesterday that Tampa Bay wanted to put a lot of pressure on Rodgers. And it worked. And I'm assuming, knowing Matt Patricia, he's seeing that. And he's saying, okay, next time we play them, that's going to be what I look at. And I'm assuming the next couple opponents the Packers play, we'll look at that and say, okay, look, that's what we're going to try to do. And we're going to see if we can replicate that success. Because like Patricia says, it's a copycat league. And when they see what the Buccaneers were able to do to a team that was scoring 38 a game that held them to 10 and took Rodgers out, they're saying, okay, let's try that. We might have to try that. So maybe not the same personnel, but other teams are going to try that. We'll see how it works from now on. I'm sure the Packers will try to adjust. But for the Lions in this game, they got pressure on 34% of Gardner Minshew's dropbacks. And he was 50% in a pick on those plays. All right, 50% completion percentage with a pick. We know Duron Harmon made that big pick on a deep pass. 50%. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. We saw a couple times we weren't able to hold up in coverage in the back end, and sometimes it worked. He would miss a pass. He was thinking too much. He wouldn't know where the rush would come from. That way, sometimes even when the Lions didn't blitz, he would have to be worried about it. He was overthrowing passes. That's what we saw. We're getting in his head. So some of this has to do with, okay, we're going against Gardner Minshew. We're going to bring more pressure. And some of it has to do with, I think, just a different way of trying things. We're going to simplify the packages. We're going to bring more rush. We're going to try something different. And that's where Patricia and Corey Undlin deserve credit. They had 21 pressures and 16 hurries, and they've came nowhere near that up to this game. So I think there's a couple of reasons. One, opponent you're going against. 2, the players are meshing. They're learning the system. They had a bye week to learn it. Another bye week, you're getting players back. Curse in his second game, right? Curse played a lot. I don't know his snaps exactly, but he played a lot. Curse is getting into things. The defensive backs are getting into it. The linebackers seem to be getting into a little bit of a rhythm here. And then also injuries you knew coming into the game, which forced you maybe to play a little bit more zone, which maybe forced you to bring a little bit more pressure, be more aggressive, try to help out the back end even more. Because maybe he's looking at saying, okay, look, the zone can help, but we also need to get pressure. Again, I don't know what the exact number was, and we'll find that out later. But I do know this. They did something different. They played more aggressive. And Matt Patricia and Corey Undlin both deserve credit. They deserve a lot of credit for not being, okay, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did every single other week. They don't do that, but they're not going to do, some kind of same thing. They changed it up. They tried something new and it worked, and they will build on it. It's not going to look the same every week. I'm telling you, depending on the opponent we're going against, it's not going to look the same, because maybe if we do the same thing against Murray, it may not work. It may not have worked if we did the same thing against Kyler, right? If we blitzed as much as we did against Kyler, it could have went completely wrong. I thought the biggest thing was honestly being so aggressive against the run to try to shut that down. And once they were able to shut that down and take him basically out of the game and force them one-dimensional, then we saw that the Lions were able to get some pressure. Matt Patricia and Corey Undlin, you guys did a heck of a job. When we do grades, you guys will get an A. I thought it was incredible what they did. They basically took Chenault out of the game, who was a versatile player. He had 3 receptions for 10 yards. Lions were tackling better, but it was an aggression. And that aggression that we saw needs to carry over. Because if this team plays with that kind of mindset and attitude, there's no reason that they don't beat some of the upcoming teams. These are teams that playoff teams would beat, and there's no reason they can't do it. The Lions got the talent to do what we saw yesterday. Now they just need to continue to build on it for the defensive side of things. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll dive into the film later once I get it, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many all-pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?